Rose gold. It's seemingly everywhere these days. The Disney parks are especially going through a period of rose gold mania, but even outside of Disney, the color is experiencing a new wave of popularity. So what is rose gold, where did it come from, and why is it so popular? Gold is an extremely soft metal. So soft, in fact, that one of the ways prospectors would test the gold nuggets they found in order to make sure it wasn't pyrite was by biting down on it. So naturally, it wouldn't make sense to craft jewelry with pure gold. It would just get damaged too easily. So in order to make gold jewelry more durable, it's almost always mixed with other metals to create a more durable alloy. For instance, a typical 18-karat gold ring would be about 75% gold, and the other 25% would be a mixture of metals like copper, zinc, and silver. What people found was that by playing around with the combination of that 25% would affect the coloring of the final product. For instance, if you work a decent amount of nickel into that alloy, you'd end up with white gold. It was the late 1800s when famous Russian jeweler Carl Fabergé found that if that 25% of the alloy was primarily made up of copper, the gold would take on a light pinkish hue. He worked that metal into what would ultimately become his namesake, Fabergé eggs. It wasn't the very first instance of rose gold. After all, the metal had been used by people for thousands of years, and impurities during the smelting process would naturally lead to gold of different colors. However, it was certainly the catalyst of its modern popularity. From there, the pink metal would become commonplace in Russian jewelry crafting, so much so that at first it was referred to as Russian gold. Then, like most aspects of fashion, it would spend the next 100 years falling in and out of style. It would fall out of style at the end of the Victorian era, and then find itself in style again in the 1920s when Cartier in 1924 would create the famous Trinity ring, which featured yellow, rose, and white gold all at once. It would hang around for a decade, and then in the 1930s, the more minimalist and monochromatic trends of the time would push rose gold out of the spotlight for platinum. That too would go on for a number of years until World War II. Platinum was an important metal when it came to the war effort, and so its civilian use was limited. As a result, it forced jewelers to turn back to traditional gold as well as rose gold, which led to a resurgence in popularity. Most recently, we saw it start to make a comeback in the fashion world around 2012, and it would only be another couple of years before that would spread to another field: technology. While Apple is seldom the first to do something, they usually manage to popularize whatever they put out. Usually. In May of 2015, with rose gold a year or two into its resurgence and already offered on a few Samsung phones, Apple decided to work the color into their new product that merged technology with fashion accessory, the Apple Watch. A few short months later in September, the color would make its way over to the new iPhone 6s, and that's when it really took off. It was reported that up to 40% of the phone's pre-orders were for the rose gold model alone. It would take another 2 years for the trend to officially make its way over to the Disney parks, and in the summer of 2017, Disney would release a pair of rose gold mini ears. Now, perhaps it was forced scarcity on Disney's part, or maybe they really didn't know how popular it was going to be. Whatever the reason, the initial run of ears quickly sold out, and future restocks would find themselves being bought up within hours. Then, as is often the case, the rarity of the ears further fueled their popularity, which in turn kept them rare. And now here we are, a year later. They're no longer impossible to find, and we sit in the middle of what might be the height of rose gold fever. We've got rose gold ears, rose gold spirit jerseys, rose gold cupcakes, and even rose gold churros. Will it go away? Certainly. Like most fashion trends, its popularity will wax and wane over time. Let's just hope that happens before we end up with a rose gold spaceship Earth.